Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. I am Amy Ruggieri with the Ruggieri Group, joined by my friend Rachel Dursey with Effortless Budgeting. And we are jumping on to talk today about a topic that I think all of us we think about, we're not too sure if we fully understand. It looks like one thing, but it's really another. And that topic is looking rich versus actually being rich. And if you're like me, I know you want to be on the actually being rich and wealthy and doing the right things side. So today, Rachel's going to kick us off, talk us a little bit about what does this mean? What are we talking about when we say looking rich versus actually being rich, and what can you do to make sure that you stay on the positive side of that equation? So Rachel, go ahead, kick us off, give us a quick introduction, and let's jump in and talk.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Hi, for folks who don't know me, I'm Rachel Dorsey. I'm a financial wellness coach. And yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off what Amy just said. It's very, very easy for people to judge others from their outward appearance, right? Because you don't know what's going on in their inner life. But I just really want to caution people in doing that, because just because someone is putting something out there in the world doesn't mean that that's actually reality for them. So you see somebody who drives a fancy car, who has a really large house, who's got a hot tub, who maybe has a pool, all these things. And you think, gosh, I'm jealous. Like, I'm literally jealous. I wish that I was them. I wish I had that kind of money. And you may even say, screw it, I'm going to go buy something nice because I'm seeing this person, or maybe several people around you, having all these nice things, and I want something nice. So I'm just going to spend it. I don't really have the money, but I'm just going to do it. But again, what people put on the outside is not, in fact, oftentimes not what is actually on the inside. So just because somebody drives a fancy car and has a beautiful house does not mean that they're wealthy. I know a lot of people who have consistently made way more money than I have made in my life, and I have much more money, saved, invested, free to spend than they do, because they're putting a lot of it on debt, right? Yeah. So they're putting a lot of it on credit cards, loans. I say this, like, debt actually robs you of your income. So these folks that are spending this, if they just cut back a little bit, they would probably have way more money, but it might not look like they would have way more money on the outside, because that's what they're putting out there. I just have a couple of stats, if you don't mind.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
I'm going to read them. So something I just looked up from Reader's Digest study that they did. This says whether somebody wins $500 million or $1 million in the lottery, about 70% of lotto winners lose or spend all of that money in 5 years or less.
Wow.
500
I'm writing this down. That blows me away.
So you think, okay, somebody, even if you just think somebody win $100 million, that is a lot of money. And so you think, gosh, if that was just me, if only I could win that money, I would want it. I would do this, this, and this. But maybe you wouldn't, because when somebody gets suddenly, into all of this money, and the problem is without a plan, right? So this is why, like, for my clients, I always recommend, if they have some type of bonus that they get from work, or they think there's a raise coming in the future, I have them plan for that money. Because what happens is, when you randomly get money without a plan for it, you're going to spend it, just like these lotto winners.
Yep.
So don't be like 70% of these lotto winners who win a pretty good chunk of money, who could change their lives. And in 5 years or less, they're no longer wealthy. They have none of that money. And
where they could have generationally turned that into millions more.
Yes. Yep.
But it's the lack of education.
Exactly. And a lack of planning. It's just like suddenly you get all this money. And a lot of times, some of these lotto winners are not wealthy to begin with, and so they'll go from making, I'm just making this up, but maybe $40,000 a year or so, and all of a sudden they have millions of dollars, and they don't seek help. They don't they don't have the education behind it, or some of the motivation, and then they're just like, woo, I'm excited, I'm rich, I'm going to go buy a house and a boat. And then a couple of years later, unfortunately, they don't and some of them don't even have the money to still be able to afford that house and that boat or whatever it is that they bought. And then the other stats, so we all look at like professional athletes. Oh my gosh, have we seen like the crazy salaries that these people are getting? It's insane. But 78%, this is based on a Fox Business research that was done, 78% of professional athletes go broke after 3 years of retirement. So they retire making sometimes $1 million plus every single year for 15 years. And then they retire 3 years later, they have no money. So that is just like, it's so important to not judge people from their outside, because oftentimes the more money somebody makes, the more money they spend.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that does not equate to actually being rich. That equates to looking rich. And we all don't want to look rich. What's the point of looking rich if we actually can't sleep at night because we're stressed out about all the money that we're spending?
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like, it's the hardest thing ever. And I get it. We have, the baby boomers, and I've listened to where our parents grew up one way. We had the baby boomers, and they didn't have all the things that we had. Student loan debt being as much as a mortgage payment wasn't a thing years ago. Having this, like, everybody drives a Lexus or a BMW. Like, it's not even fun to drive a luxury car anymore because there's nothing special about it. Everyone has one,
well, now
whether they can
it's
afford
Teslas.
it or not.
People want Teslas now. So.
Right. I actually think about that every time I see a Tesla. I'm like, who the hell wants it? It's not even that sexy of a car.
No, I think it's actually a hideous car, but yeah. but you have to like think like, why? Like, okay, if it was an extra $10 a month on a payment, no big deal. But it's like 2-3 times as much as my Honda. And does it really make that much of a difference? Like, you have to think about, why are you wanting something like that? And unfortunately, this is a hard reality. People may not want to admit it, but unfortunately, oftentimes people want something like that to portray something to the outside.
Yeah, they're trying to be impressive.
Yeah.
And well, you know what? And that's the thing, is outward appearances. It's easy to share, the perceived what it's going on. And people always want people to perceive that things are good and well in their life, right? The majority of us are that way. But, not talking about money. What if I was the person that lived in a, average home? I think of Warren Buffett, right? Average home, drove a used car, a billionaire, right? And had all those options, but didn't do them because for what?
Right. Exactly.
For what? And we're not talking about our bank account, because that's weird. It'd be really weird for me to say, oh yeah, I got 50 or 100 grand cash at my disposal for whatever. If I wanted to take an opportunity, I have it. But nobody gets to talk about that. So it's like less fun because I don't get to be showy.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I think if we walked around talking about how big our retirement accounts are and savings, like, it would become exciting to fill those buckets.
Yes, right.
Because we would be able to say, oh my gosh, we're going to live an incredible life together.
Yeah. And then we could be comparing ourselves with what other people are retiring with, not what other people are currently living with, right? Like and like, we want to appear as if we're a certain way, but if your life is put together and is organized and your finances are well, you will portray out that you are doing well. You may not portray you're a Tesla owner, but you will portray that because your actual internal life is happy and healthy and not laden with all of that stress over money.
It radiates. It radiates. You know, it's funny, Rachel, we were sitting with somebody. We were just in Atlanta, Georgia. Every 2 years, our company has a huge conference. We bring our 6,500 offices together and we network, we share, and we learn and we grow together. And I was sitting on the train heading to our hotel from the airport with a guy, and he was in their same business. You know, he has an agency in the financial field. And Bobby said, we were chatting. We didn't really know this guy. And we were chatting, and Bobby said, this might be the weirdest compliment to give, because, but you radiate this like peace and this just like, you just seem different. And he had this ring on. We have a ring when you have a 6-figure income earning business or greater, you get a ring, and they put diamonds in it to show, you know, so that we kind of have an idea. Oh, that's somebody I might want to talk to. They're obviously, they're knowledgeable and successful. And so he makes over $1 million a year, and he goes, it's so awkward because I can't talk to anybody about it. Like, it's weird. And so we asked him, you know, what's your key to success? And he goes, I've been a student of what it really looks like to be successful with money. And I followed it. And for years, I did things so different and so uncomfortable. But to position myself to be in a place where now he makes a lot of money. So obviously they really have no worries. But he says, now I know how to treat and act with the money. I know how to make it grow. I know how to, you know, be able to do the right things, give with it. I've positioned myself, but the positioning came with a lot of study, how to think.
Yeah. Well, mindset is, oh gosh,
it's the thought process.
Yep.
You know, and I wanted to, not to take up too much time, and I know we're going to wrap up here in a second. I wanted to share this because this is something that Bobby and I do. I sold luxury cars for years. I love cars. Cars are a passion. I mean, like, if you want to see me light up within, put me in a really fun, nice car to drive, because I love them. And so I've been exposed to that, and I would love to live that life. But I bought myself my very first, like, really fancy SUV, right? And it was $65,000 new. I bought it for $25,000. Nice. Do you know how many compliments I've gotten on this SUV since I've gotten it? And people are like, how did you do it? And I said, it has 120,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I bought a well-maintained car that looks brand new. Nobody knows that it's not brand new, but it's almost 7 years old.
Yeah.
But it was well-maintained, beautifully kept. I plan on beautifully keeping it so I can drive it another 100,000 miles. And I get the luxury feel, but I don't spend the luxury. We did the same thing with our car. We bought the lowest priced house in the nicest neighborhood we can find. We're the poor people of our neighborhood, right? Everybody else has $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 houses in our neighborhood.
But be careful, don't use that word poor.
Right?
Because they're living, just because they're living rich doesn't mean they are.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, is I know that these 6-figure, you know, income earning people who are living in these homes, there's a good 30 or 40% of the people in my neighborhood right now that they're one paycheck away from losing it all.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, like, I don't walk into their house and go, oh my gosh, I'm so impressed by whatever. It's the same freaking house that I have. It's just, they got newer, shinier stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, who cares?
Right. Well, what is more important, having newer, shinier stuff that probably you'll forget and won't even really pay attention to after you're there for a while, or having peace of mind that you are set on your budget, you're not overspending, you don't have debt, you've got your retirement handled. You know, which is more, we have to like come up with that, which is more important. And frankly, I mean, if having those shinier things are more important to you, then go have it. But there's a good chance that that's not the case, that you would much prefer to be stress-free and just have that ability to go to sleep at night and not feel all that worry. And, you know, I just think I have clients who make a good living, and they spend $700 to $1,000 a month on just minimum payments on their debt. Not counting a mortgage or a car payment. This is just pretty much credit card debt, maybe some student loans. So like, you have to think of like, what would you do with an extra $700 to $1,000 a month? would you do? That's a lot of money to the average, to most people, that is a lot of money every single month. So that is why I'm saying like debt robs you of your income, because yeah, you can go buy a fancy car because you can put it on a credit card, or you can take out a cash advance. Please don't do that. Or, you know, you can take out a loan or whatever. But if you're spending years and years and years and years, and all of this money that is, you're spending so much money on interest that is literally throwing money in the garbage. And I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a house and you shouldn't buy a car and you shouldn't take a loan for those things. Great if you can afford that cash, but most of us can't. I can't. But we have to be smart with what we have. And so like my sort of fun tagline, I have more than one, but one of my more fun taglines, I think, is it's not about how much money you bring in, it's about what you do with the money that you have. So you could bring in 200, like you could get a raise right now that's $10 an hour more than you're making now, which is pretty significant. And I'm guessing that if you don't start really looking into your finances and checking your budget and maybe working with somebody, or, you know, just really digging in, your finances aren't going to change. You're going to then spend $10 an hour more than you were before. So they're going to be in the same place. I know a financial coach that actually works only with people that make $200,000 to $500,000 a year. And that's all she works with. So, you know, that's.
Which proves it's not an income problem.
Right.
It's a mindset problem.
Right.
Yep.
Am I frozen on your end? I look.
You are frozen on my end. You're praying though. You're praying for everybody to hear this message and to.
I have certainly seen worse freezes.
I know,
faces,
it's the worst. What do you do, right? What do you do when it freezes?
Nothing I can do. I guess now would be a great time to wrap up since I'm frozen.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh my goodness. Well, thanks, Amy. This is so much fun. I just, you know, the reason we're doing this is to help folks understand and to take it very personally. Don't worry about what other people are doing because you have no idea what their life actually looks like inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up, Rachel, share with us, where can we find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
Yep. So my business is Effortless Budgeting, and my website is effortlessbudgeting.com. And then I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well under Effortless Budgeting.
Awesome. I love it. And same here. You can visit our website, ruggieregroup.com. You can also follow my personal page on Instagram, on Facebook, and our Facebook group, Smart Money Moves, the Ruggieri Group, where we normalize the money conversation. We help people feel less stress, worry, and anxiety around money and start having a lot of fun with it, like Rachel and I are. So, so good, Rachel. Always good to be with you. Always good to chat. I can't ever get enough of our conversations. It's fun, exciting, and so glad to be on this journey with you. So stay tuned, guys. We will be catching you next week. And if you ever have any topic discussions that you would like to hear Rachel and I discuss, please feel free to suggest those. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
See ya.